Episode 9, Cobra Kai, Blood In, Blood Out. And it's your boy Icon with a Netflix television review for you going over that Cobra Kai. So after this, we got one more to go to conclude part 2. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like and or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's go. So in the last episode, my man Terry Silver was in the tub. He's buzzing out the hot tub. But we got a little backstory as to how he got back. And I like that they didn't spend a lot of time on this. It was just a quick, this is what happened. This is where he is now. All right, bet. 1, 2, 3, break. Let's move on. So it turns out that the gentleman, Sensei Wolf, he used to own the Iron Dragon. I don't know why I keep calling them the silver, like the silver claw, the Iron Dragon. He was the sensei of the Iron Dragon clan. And he got into some debt. He owed a lot of people money. He lost ownership of his dojo. Terry Silver basically got out of prison because the case against him was dropped because the witnesses didn't pan out. They were using Stingray as one of the witnesses, so I already know that went horribly wrong. So now, because of that, Terry Silver got out of jail, and he's like walking amongst us. But his reputation has been ruined because of everything that happened with him getting arrested. So he needs a dojo now because he can no longer hold on to Cobra Kai. So the gentleman, Sensei Wolf, he finds Sensei Wolf, who was fighting in the dark streets, like in the back streets or whatever, underground, as they say. He found him, and then he told him, he was like, look, basically, I'm gonna pay off all your debts, and I'm going to give back ownership of the Iron Dragon to you. In exchange, you have to enter the Sekai Taikai, because he said his dojo automatically got a spot in the Sekai Taikai, because I guess they won it before. He said you have to enter the Sekai Taikai, and you have to crush Miyagi Do, and you have to crush Cobra Kai. So they agreed. So now fast forward to present time. Everybody's still looking at Silver in the hot tub. And he basically told him, he was just like, because he was just like, yeah, he's like, I'm here to crush you all. And he's like, I'm going to take, the Iron Dragon to places that it's never been before. And all I got to do is get rid of Miyagi Do and get rid of Cobra Kai. So he was like, this is war. Everybody looked at each other, and that was it. And then they all walked away. Chosen made Kim upset because when Daniel had asked her, like, what's Kim doing here? And what are you doing here with Kim? He was like, I bumped into her by mistake. And for her to be such a level-headed person, she completely took that emotion. She was like, oh, now it's a mistake. And I'm just like, didn't you tell him? After the two of them did the deed and they were sitting having breakfast, when she clearly looked like she had just done something, she says to him, she goes, obviously this stays between us. Got it? Okay. He said yes. So now when Daniel says, hey, why are you two together? We bumped into each other by mistake because this was supposed to stay between us. And now she's all up in her feelings. So now we're back at the dojo. We're back at the hotel, and everybody's getting ready for the next competition. But now we know the truth about Terry Silver. Miguel and Johnny are back. They get told about the whole Terry Silver situation. My man Kenny's in the mix, and I said they was going to return with Kenny. Kenny's in the mix because he's not taking Miguel's place because Miguel came back with them, but he is taking Devin's place because Devin decided to bow out gracefully. Now, me specifically, I said that I wanted Devin and I wanted Kenny in the Sekai Taikai. I didn't want Dimitri in it because Dimitri's like completely useless, but to have Devin in the first half of the tournament and then have Kenny for the second half, I'm like, okay, I'll take that. But now motherfuckers is out here hating because Hawk and Dimitri, they're hating on Kenny because they're just like, oh, like he worked for Sensei Silver, and he's a mole and we can't trust him, and he's blah blah blah. Kenny and Devin made up, and then he told her, he was just like, listen, I had a lot of time to think about it on the plane. He said, I actually do forgive you, and he said, I was kind of flattered that you took me out because you thought I was the biggest threat. And then she started giggling. I ship it. I like the two of them together. More on that later. But now the biggest problem is Dimitri and Hawk doesn't trust Kenny being on the team. Robbie's still going through his internal trauma, with the whole thing with Tori. And now, but they have to battle now because we're up to the next challenge. And if they don't win this specific challenge, they get kicked out of the entire tournament. Miguel had a conversation with Robbie where he was just like, look, I apologize for being an ass. He said, but you are a leader because you were the one that led the charge against everybody leaving Terry Silver. You were the one that got Kenny to come to Miyagi Do. He said that you are a leader. You're just in your head right now. So now everybody's getting ready, and we're buckled up, and we're fixated, and we're ready to do the damn thing. But before we do that, Johnny, Chosen, and Daniel were trying to figure out how they were going to navigate with Terry Silver being in the mix. So the three of them come up with an idea to use thy enemy against thy enemy. So they steal Sensei Kreese's precious knife. And again, even going back to the episode where we got the Sensei Kreese backstory, I was always like, why are we making such a big deal out of this knife? Like, why? Like, I understand, okay, it was like he killed a white snake or something, but we're making too big a deal out of this knife. It's almost like this, like the soul of his wife is trapped within his knife. But we do find out it does have some significant value to him. They stole his knife, and they set it up to make it look like Terry Silver was the one that stole it because they put a spot ticket in the knife case where it was. So now he's freaking out. He punches Terry Silver in the face, and Kreese is like, "You stole my knife, you son of a bitch." And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then the commission guy shows up, and he was like, "If you guys don't calm down, I'm going to disqualify both of you." And now Daniel and everybody's giggling because they're just like, "Oh, we finally created some dissension amongst our enemies." So now it's time, which is very shady for them, like, if we're being honest. So now here we go. So the tournament, it's a tag tournament, like two dojo, like a dojo versus a dojo, but it's a tag team format. You get to tag in and out, for your partner, and the first team that scores 3 points wins. When the Miyagi Do's, obviously Cobra Kai won theirs, but Tori's head wasn't really in the game because she was upset over watching Sahara make out with Robbie. She even grabbed Sahara's live stream and told everybody she's a two-faced bitch that likes stealing other people's boyfriends. But it's affecting her, and Sensei Kim knows that, and she's like, "Nichols, focus." Like, that was like her whole thing. So when they do the first match, they're going up against everybody. Everybody's doing fine, like no big problem so far, although Robbie was kind of shaky a little bit. But then the problem was Dimitri and Hawk did not want to tag in Kenny because they thought Kenny was going to purposely cost them the match. And because they didn't tag in Kenny, everybody was like, "Tag Kenny, tag Kenny." They ended up tagging in Robbie, then Robbie got his ass beat, and they lost the first round. So then when it came to the second round, and this was after Miguel gave Robbie the speech about, you need to be a good leader, it got to the point where they won the second round because Robbie was the one that trusted Kenny and tagged in Kenny, for Kenny to come win the match. And kudos to Kenny, because when my man Kenny came in, he bust that ass. like he punched one dude in the face, he caught another dude with the uppercut, and I was just like, "Kenny Payne," and he was all like yelling and shit. so they won the second one thanks to Kenny, and now they got to go up against the final one, which is Miyagi Do versus Cobra Kai. So this is interesting. Like the final battle, they're all in the locker room talking. They're just like, "Oh, we got to face Cobra Kai again." But they're just like, "One more time, and we take them out of the tournament." Like, "Who are we? We're the Miyagi." And they're just like, "Oh, this is our last time together. And if we're going out as Miyagi Do." And then like, then that's when Johnny came in. He was like, "Stop the kumbaya shit. Let's get it done. Let's kick some ass." So they go in. They're having a fight, and it was cool because like everybody got on page at that point because even Hawk and Dimitri, they made up because they were doing their whole back and forth thing, beefing with each other. Everybody got together. They came together as a family. They had a nice little in and out tag thing where they were doing quick tags to keep their opponents off balance. They were able to get like 2 points versus 2 points. Nichols basically blew her match in the last one because she wasn't focused. But before this particular match started, Miyagi Do decided they were going to start with Robbie. And then that's when Sensei Kim told Tori, she was like, "You're not the first one that's been hurt by a boy, but use that anger, use all that pain, and let him have it." So Tori ended up starting the match against Robbie, and everybody was like, "Shit." So it's Tori against Robbie. And Tori kind of like bust that ass, and he was just looking at her like, "Well, damn," and then he tagged out. So then finally, when the two of them were on the sidelines because like all the teammates were next to each other, and then Robbie was just like, "Oh, why are you mad at me? You were the one that broke up with me." And then she was like, "I said to put our relationship on pause. I didn't say to sleep with our enemies." And he was like, "But you were out there sleeping with Quan." And then she was like, I didn't sleep with Quan. She said, "He played you to get you off balance, fool." And then when he realized he got played, that's when he got angry. And angry Robbie is the best Robbie. I don't care what nobody say. Because every time Robbie's pissed off, that's when he actually has like the eye of the tiger. So now when it was a 2-on-2 point situation, it came down to Robbie versus Quan. So this was the match that everybody wanted to see. The two of them were going at it, and Quan was so into it to the point where his ego got the better of him. He refused to tag anybody. So because of that, he was just going at Robbie one-on-one, and Robbie was kind of like breaking him down. He was even doing certain moves to him as Johnny said, he was trying to make it hurt. And then once he realizes that Robbie's trying to hurt him and trying to embarrass him, he gets more upset, and then that's when you can use your opponent's anger against him. But finally, when the two of them jumped in the air and faced each other in the sky, Robbie, he kicked him dead in the face, he knocked Quan out, and Miyagi Do once again has defeated Cobra Kai. And I was shocked. Like, when they defeated Cobra Kai, like, I was legitimately shocked because we got one more episode left, and Cobra Kai's out of the tournament. So I guess, my whole thing was, we're putting the Cobra Kai storyline finally to bed. They're all going to go home. They're like, Tori and everybody's going to lick their wounds, and now the whole thing is going to be the Iron Dragons versus the Miyagi Dos. Even then, Johnny walked up to Kreese at one point, and he was just like, "How do you feel, you son of a bitch?" He's like, "You pulled all those strings, you did all this work to come here, and now you're going home with nothing." And he was like, "It's not over until I say it's over." Kim went to Chosen, and she was like, "Put the knife back or else." And then because she was like, "I don't want you to make any more mistakes," and I was like, "Oh Lord." And so he put the knife back, and then Kreese got mad, and he was just like, "This is war, mother." motherfuckers. But he's like, it's not over till I say it's over. But I'm like, but it's over because you're going home. But and then finally, Terry Silver, he walked over to LaRusso and he was just like, oh, congratulations, LaRusso. He said, but I have something for you. And he gave him an envelope, and then he said that this was the information that you were searching for with your Miyagi quest. And then when Daniel looked at the papers, and then, like, you know, Chosen and Johnny was like, you know, what does it say? He basically said it was the records of the Sekai Taikai that Mr. Miyagi fought in, and he said that during his match, Mr. Miyagi accidentally killed somebody. I mean, I'm saying accidentally, but he basically killed somebody. And now Daniel's like, oh, not Mr. Miyagi. And this is the part that pisses me off about Daniel. It's just like, bro, first of all, you are way too emotional over Mr. Miyagi. Second of all, if you know Mr. Miyagi to be the type of person who's like, oh, tranquility, peace, silence, wax on, wax off, and all that calm crap. And then you're hearing stories about a man who fought in tournaments and killed a man and did all this crazy stuff. Because he even said, he was like, oh, Mr. Miyagi hated tournaments. Mr. Miyagi teached nonviolence. Mr. Miyagi was all about peace. If you found out the man fought in a fighting tournament and accidentally killed a man, obviously, that's the reason why when you met him, he was all about kumbaya and wusa. I'm just like, it's not that hard. Like, come on, bro. He's really, Daniel killing me. Like, Daniel's really killing me with this, but that's the whole thing. It's like, now they know Mr. Miyagi, killer man. But the whole thing about Sensei Kreese's knife and them making such a big deal over the fact that Miyagi killed somebody, because I assume back then those things happened in these karate tournaments. You know, I was just like, it's like, why are they making such a big deal out of this? But we eventually find out more on that to come later. But that was how this particular episode ended. And for the love of God, thank you for tuning in. So we got one more episode to go for part 2 of Cobra Kai. I will try to have that one up as quickly as possible for all of you. But let me know what you thought about this particular episode. Are we happy that Robbie finally got out of his own head? You know, but now like Tori's in her head because she did the whole thing where she looked at Robbie and she got beat up. And I'm like, these two are meant for each other. Are you down with Kenny and Devin? Like I said, I still ship it. You know, do you think like Miyagi Do is gonna win? Like, you know, is Cobra Kai finally defeated? Share your questions for this particular episode and we'll continue to talk about it. Check me out on social media. Check me out on X, on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and concerns. And we'll keep rolling on because Superman and Lois is still up on my channel. We have 2 more episodes left for Superman and Lois until we say goodbye. And then again, we got Marvel's What If coming soon, and on December 5th we got That Creature Commandos. So until next time, guys, for some more Cobra Kai action as we conclude part 2. We'll see you in the finale. Until then, we're out this bitch!